do 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 do. All right, bring you down, and I think we're good. And we go. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody in internet land. Kids are sleepy. I was like, oh hey, he's alive. Hello, welcome in, everybody. Welcome. Kids are asleep, cryptid, ghostly. We got everybody's here. How's it going? Good to see you all again. It has been a hot minute. All right. The fact that you were reached by email today. hey. I too am one who only understands email. Guess who's back again? I did. I managed to survive. I survived July, which was insane. The Worm Overlord returns. Yes, I am back. And it seems like I'm back at least for the month of August. So, ideally, it seems like, knock on wood, streams should be relatively consistent through the month of August, which is great. My back and knee pain support. Exactly, kids are asleep. Exactly. Did you get new glasses? No, it's the same old glasses. Same ones. It's I just look that much older. I just look aged, just perpetually aged, having been flung around the Pacific Ocean for the past month of my life. My face hurts, so I feel that. Anyway, how's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? It is great to be back. I have missed writing. I am very excited to actually try to get things done and written, since I have not really... I started trying to write on the plane, which I am, I struggle doing anything on a plane outside of just, trying to survive. But anyway, I've started trying to write on the plane just because I'm so frustrated with the fact that I've gotten no writing done this year. But I am very excited to be home and actually getting stuff done. That's it. I'm losing. I've been staring at Resolve too long. Oh, welcome. Yeah, Ghostly. It's a whole new world. Yeah, I too often find myself staring at Resolve still to this day, trying to understand what the hell I'm doing. So it doesn't get any easier. You'll be able to do stuff. You'll be able to do more and more, but you will never be able to do everything because of just how insane that program is. All right. Moon Runes, welcome in. Hey, Moon Runes. It has been so long. How are you? Taiwan and Hawaii pulled a Princess Bride and took the life out of it. I mean, pretty much. Although I really fell in love with Taiwan. Taiwan was great. I really love Taiwan. Hawaii, I didn't get to even touch the water. So my buddy and I, at a dinner, we had to go attend a client dinner meeting thing after we had finished, a 16-hour day. And we just walked to the beach and looked at the stars, and we're like, all right, we did it. We did Hawaii. We got to do Hawaii. So anyway, Hawaii was what I expected, which is it gave me COVID. This time broke my finger, and I didn't get to touch the water. I did get to touch the water the first time. I did go swimming the first time. This time I did not. Sensei, why would you do this to me, dear God? That's true. That is true. I did, but it's going to be good for you to learn, Ghostly. It'll be good for you to learn. Do we get to hear about you break finger? It is the most bland story imaginable. It is literally just a large steel tripod collapsed on my finger. That's it. It's nothing dramatic. Just, haven't slept in 5 days, was tearing down, and the tripod just collapsed on my finger. So, luckily it wasn't that bad. It just, they didn't have to, I was really worried they were going to have to, puncture the nail and bleed it, but when I got back home and talked to the doctor, they were like, it's fine. It's fine. It's just going to hurt for a while. And I'm like, cool. Which is, I do love going to the doctor. Finally, I have health insurance. Finally, I go to the doctor, and it's literally exactly what I've been doing my entire life, which is, well, I hope this stops hurting after a while. I know, I'm good. I'm glad we're. Yeah, I know everybody's here. We've got like, yeah, Moon Runes, Kids Are Asleep, Ghostly, Cryptid. We've got everybody. Well, welcome in, everybody. How's everybody else doing? How is everybody? How is Kids Are Asleep? How goes the world? How goes the kids? How goes the writing? Cryptid, how are you? You apparently, Cryptid, how are you doing? Ghostly, I know I have sent you on the resolve path, so I know Ghostly's brain is probably being melted right now. But what's new in everybody's life? How's everybody doing? Turned in copy edits on my next book. Cha-ching, hell yes. So that's moving closer to being road. That's amazing, Kids Are Asleep. Congrats. How are you sleeping now, sir? I'm actually doing pretty great, to be honest with you. After having just been like sick and dying for a whole week, um, I came out the other side feeling pretty good. So I am getting a decent amount of sleep, and my sleeping schedule is still like far Pacific. So so I'm still like I don't go to sleep till like 3:30 in the morning, and I don't wake up till like 9:30, 10. So it's as long as I can maintain that schedule, I will be happy. Once I have to start getting up earlier than that, it might be a problem. But I that's the sleep schedule I fall into very naturally. Um, but congrats, Kids Are Asleep. That is huge. Very excited. Very excited for that being real. Um, Hell yeah. I'm trying to think what else. What else happened? I mean, I literally just got flung across the world. I'm trying to think what else. What else happened? I tried absinthe for the very first time in my life in Taiwan. I don't know if that was a good idea. I particularly being a near 40-year-old person trying absinthe for the first time in their life. I don't know if that was a good choice, but it was an interesting choice. Um, I survived our first Eastern Mass Vend, and it was a lot. Um, we have to change signage, which is its own tea spill. Okay, interesting. Curious to hear about that. I'm still very tired, but also overdue for my migraine shot, so that'll help. Oh, okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. Hopefully, you can get that shot, and that turns out better. But interesting why you had to change. Yeah, I'm curious about why you had to change signage. But glad the storm passed without too much damage. Hopefully. How have you ever never had absinthe before? Now you a goth. You know it's. I never hung out with goth kids who drank absinthe. There were other things going on in the places I was hanging out. It was not absinthe was not a popular, particularly when I was in Colorado. It was not a thing. Um, that was I feel like I know more people in LA who were like doing absinthe. I just never partook, I guess. Um, oh Ghostly. Oh Ghostly. The Green Fairy, man. If have you ever seen Moulin Rouge, Ghostly? The Baz Luhrmann remake of Moulin Rouge. It's a great movie with Ian McGregor and Nicole Kidman. But it's good. That will always be in my brain what absinthe is. as a kid, because I used to watch that movie all the time. I am now deeply questioning my choices and passion. Opening Da Vinci Resolve is like look at the eye of an eldritch horror along with the impending loop. You'll be fine, Ghostly. Just take it easy. Stay in the cut page. The cut page is a lot easier to figure out than the edit page. You can upgrade to the edit page later in life. Just stay in the cut page. The cut page is simple enough. And just don't be overwhelmed. Watch a couple YouTube videos. You'll start to get the flow a little bit easier. I mean, that's how I did. I when I transitioned away from Premiere and Final Cut, I just literally watched and played around in it. Don't worry about the color correcting and the node stuff. Do not even deal with that stuff. But stay in the cut page. It'll teach you kind of how to edit in a basic nonlinear editor. And you'll figure it out. It's a lot more complicated on first look than it actually is. It's been the same work, sleep again. Oh man, moon runes. I mean, that's the cycle, is it not? I have it in my fridge just waiting for the sun to go down. It spoils in sunlight like you. That's true. That is true. Given the fact that it's so flippin' hot in LA right now. I think you might have solved the riddle of why Wildlight is the way he is. That is true. Probably. Though we didn't have to shelter in place work due to a tornado 12 miles up the road. a couple weeks. Oh my god! Oh man, you had a tornado warning or like a scare? Oh, 12 Miles is close too. I know the music from Moulin Rouge. Okay, it's a great movie. You should definitely watch it if you ever get a chance. But there's absinthe is a type of alcohol that famously, well, one, it was like bootleggers alcohol, but it famous, like everyone always said you would essentially it was so alcoholic you would hallucinate, which isn't totally true. If you were hallucinating, you were probably, there was other stuff in there than just straight absinthe. But the absinthe is like purified grain alcohol. It's very alcoholic. It will, the alcohol content in it is intense, which I learned very quickly. Like literally, I'm not a person who has like one or two drinks of like a cocktail or like hard alcohol and gets hit hard by that. But that stuff hit me like a freight train. I have already deviated from the cut page. Ghostly is like, I have already deviated from this. Yeah, don't deviate too much from it. She has already strayed into Beast Lair. Yeah, clearly. Gosh, I remember the olden days when Avid first came out. Okay, so the thing that is, yeah, Avid is still to this day the most complex. I mean, that's what I learned on. My brother taught me on when Avid was the computer, like not just the program that you use now, but like you would actually have to buy an Avid computer that would take up a whole room. And that's what I learned to cut on. And Avid is still to this day a nightmare. I do not understand why. I don't understand why people still edit on Avids. It is still in most houses the go-to. Although Premiere is pretty common now too, as much as I despise Premiere. But DaVinci is like DaVinci's the best of like what I think modern nonlinear editing is probably going to become. And because it's already the professional color correction software, it's already integrated into that, so it should be fine. I also already watch YouTube videos. I just want to find a way to help with the quality because I fucked up. My ISO was screwed. Well, okay, so some of that might not be recoverable, depending, like if was it too dark? Are you dealing with, like, essentially was your ISO too low and everything is underexposed? Because if it's exposure is gonna hurt. Exposure under and over, you've got a little bit of latitude depending on your camera, but if it's too far one way or the other, there's not much you can do. Even with like magic editing professional software, that is the one thing you don't want to mess up is your ISO. ISO and second, probably color. You have some variability with color. You can bring color back, but ISO is rough. Let's see here. Yeah, the weather's been wild while you were away. I think the weather's been wild everywhere. I mean, I got hit by a typhoon in Taiwan, so I was like on lockdown. Like the whole city was shut down for like 2 days. So I just sat on the top of like the hotel I was in and just watched a typhoon rage through Taiwan. And then even when I got to Hawaii, it was really muggy in Hawaii, like really muggy. Proper absinthe, yeah, exactly. It contains wormwood, which is supposed to help you hallucinate, but the formula that's legal in the States doesn't contain enough to do that. Yeah. The bootleggers kind, in theory, can make you hallucinate, but we had 3 tornadoes that day. We kept getting warnings on our phones saying extreme danger and to take shelter, and if dark as fuck outside. Okay, yeah, that's terrifying. Like the world before a tornado is legitimately terrifying to me. Oh, you learned on Avid Express. That's what. Oh, okay. So this is how I know kids are. Kids are asleep, and I were dabbling in editing around the same time. I think because that's when I first moved to LA. That's what a lot of people, particularly when we started working in reality TV, before everything moved over to Premiere, everybody was editing on Avid Express because Avid Express was the first big like not a computer software you could get. Whatever it was called, because we had like 4 of those and only 1 Avid Bay. Yeah, yep. Hey, Silas, welcome in. Welcome. How goes it? We're just catching up before we get started with our sprints. But welcome in. How have you been? I'm currently doing video editing software. We are recalling the the evolution of editing software. I was shooting at night, and I am also an idiot who had no idea what she was doing. I mean, that's fine. I've shot the first time I tried to shoot anything on Super 8 film, we just completely underexposed the whole. I think it was we shot 3 rolls, which was like $150, which for us high schoolers was a lot of money, and paid for the development of it, and I completely botched the exposure. All the film was ruined. You couldn't see anything. Yeah, it happens. It happens. No, I also had someone behind my camera who had never used it, so I was able to fuck with it. Ah, yes. this is all part of the learning process, Ghostly. Do not sweat it. This happens. You could probably try to bring your exposures up and see if anything's recoverable, but it might be rough. I know when we shot our thing on film, that was just a wash. Nothing was recoverable on that. Sometimes with digital cameras, you might be able to, but if it's like really underexposed, there's not much you can do, unfortunately. We do not have magic like that quite yet. A typhoon, Jesus Christ! Yeah. All of Asia was getting hit by a typhoon, and it like landed right on top of Taiwan and then hit China. I'm currently obsessed with learning color grading, and oh my god, it's just amazing. Color grading's intense, yeah. If you really dig it, if you can get really into it, particularly if you're doing like film color grading and like in Resolve. I mean, Resolve is what most movies are color graded in these days. And you can do the things you can do in color grading and in Resolve is nuts. It is bonkers what you're able to do nowadays. But unfortunately, if you underexpose, you're unfortunately tied to being underexposed. Dabbling in editing in the dark arts, exactly. My husband had to edit on a flatbed. Oh, dude, your husband, hell yeah. I mean, that's cool as shit, though. Kids are asleep. If I could shoot film and edit on a flatbed, I absolutely would do that. Because I had to use, when I was a projectionist, we had to use a small version, not a full flatbed, but like a small version of that to cut together trailers and add transitions. And that shit is my jam, man. I miss those days. There is nothing better. There you go, Goatsy. It's artsy. Also watch the Must Huff edit. I don't know what that is. The Must Huff edit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My god, I have watched like 20 times. What is it? It's so good. I have no idea why big filmmaking corporations don't hire editors to make Oh, I see. They're god tier. It's insane. I mean, they do sometimes. They do. There are edit houses where a lot of times people, at least back in the day, people used to get picked up off YouTube to edit in some of those houses. But they don't tend to do that quite as much anymore, and a lot of times certain filmmakers will cut their own trailers. I know that that's the case sometimes, but yeah, I mean, they do sometimes do it. They do sometimes pull people from YouTube. Yeah, it was bad enough in projection. LOL, no thanks. Okay, seriously, I get it. I like the messiness, and it's not efficient though. It is definitely not efficient. You waste your entire day solving one problem, or like if you fuck up the glue. It's very funny. Is this Schism I see? Eyeballs? It is Schism. Today actually, we're about 30 pages into the second draft. I've been working on it all week. It's starting last weekend and on the plane a little bit for the second draft of Schism. So we're gonna try to get that done. But today is to try and hammer out the unfortunate demise of a Clint. So, since I do recall getting one note that says I did not go hard enough, so we are going to attempt to go hard enough when it comes to Clint. So, speaking of something that has schemes within Scheme Sensei, what is thou plotting? I have plans within plans within plans, man. Plans within plans within plans. But the goal is actually, hopefully, both streaming today, and then I'll be writing all week and streaming on Thursday, that second draft of Schism will be done. So that's the goal at the end of the week. Because I've got a lot of other projects I need to finish. I got some NTA stuff I got to work on, and I got a bunch of stuff. And we're writing a short film for Schism that we're going to try to actually make this year. or at the beginning of next year. So actually get back in the director's chair. Hopefully, that's the goal at least. I'm gonna do a short film version of Schism. That is the attempt. Yep, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I'm being. Is that the scheme? That's one of the schemes. That's one of the many schemes. You've rested enough to return to scheming. I see. A little bit, yeah. I'm definitely feeling good. Feeling good enough to scheme. Is that the scheme? Is that the secret mystery? There are many mysteries, Ghostly. The universe is filled with nothing but mysteries. Most of the budget's just Waffle House. I just had to pull permits for Waffle House. I spent $5,000 pulling permits for Waffle House. Everybody, that'd be funny if that'd be Waffle House might be one of the actual only places you could ever get away doing a gorilla thing and no one would care. No, they'd see it as an opportunity. God, why you gotta talk like Mr. Miyagi? Yeah, they'd be down after all the shit that all the flack they get on like TikTok and social media. They would love just having somebody just shown in some kind of light that is not that. They'd ask if there's any fighting. So, yep, no. What if it's just a hangout conversation? Everyone is being totally normal. They would be like, "You do whatever you want." Yeah. Anyway. All right. What are we at? We're at like 30 minutes. We're at 30 minutes. How's everyone feeling about writing? How's everyone feeling about actually getting shit done? I do have a hard out today, so we won't be doing a full stream today, unfortunately. Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently, people need their gear back, and the only time they had for me to go give them their gear back from Hawaii was at 7 o'clock or 7:30 on a Tuesday. So we have a hard out today, but we'll have a full stream on Thursday. So we'll see how many we'll see how many we'll see how many wait, what? We'll see how many sprints we can get in there. So anyway, I was like, what is that? oh, they can pick that gear up themselves. That's true. Maybe. I don't know. They want me to go drop it off. I don't know why. I guess they did lend it to me for like literally 2 weeks, so I'll give them, I can go drop it off for them. So, all right. Why don't we dive on in, everybody, and rock and roll. Let me swap this over. All right. We're going to play some spooky tunes as we usually do. So obviously if that isn't your vibe, feel free to mute and all that. The timer will still be going. 1 second. Must remember how streaming works. There we go. All right. All right. Happy writing, everybody. And we will see you on the other side. Oh. Nope, timer. Where's my timer? There's my timer. All right. Happy writing, everybody. And we'll see you on the other side. Oh, man. Wow, okay. I forgot I changed that to 30. I guess that is the end of that sprint. Welcome back, everybody. Um... All right, let me bring this down. Okay. Yeah, that was fast. Okay, let me start the down timer. Okay. There we go. All right. Let me see. Oh, Jesus. Okay, there we go. Let's see. I hear I'm running a scant few hours of sleep. I had to deal with government, unload Jeep from vending. Hopefully we can all get suppressed. Yeah, hopefully. Good Lord. That's a lot. Yeah. And yes, Ghostly, you need to sleep. Let me... Okay, we started the down timer. There's something... Wait, hold on. It's like kind of like comeuppance, right? This is what it's like to feel like... That's... So... I don't want it... The one thing I don't want it to feel like is I want the sort of cathartic... The audience reaction to feel cathartic because he's such a dick that he gets in that way he gets his comeuppance, but it's not. I don't want it to feel like the monster is there giving people their comeuppance. That's the one thing I don't want to have happen, because then it's kind of like it's the monster's kind of, or at least the creature or how it's operating is doling out some sort of like justice in a way, or like could be perceived as justice, and I don't want that to happen. That's the only reason why I don't want it. I want it to feel like it's preying on their sort of the things that make them who they are, like the products of their environment. So I do things earlier where I do make Clint a little bit more, I don't want to say sympathetic. He's not a sympathetic character, but there's a little bit more there that shows kind of the cracks in what he's about, that I'm trying to make Clint a little bit more of like a well-rounded character, or as much as you can be when a character dies 30 minutes into a movie. But I like, there's something there, but I don't know, I don't necessarily know how I want to do it. The way I'm writing it right now is I'm playing on a scene actually that I rewrote, a dream sequence I rewrote earlier with Iggy that's kind of mirroring that a little bit. So we'll see how it works, if it plays. I don't know if I'm going to stick to it. I just need to make sure that these sequences are like under 2 pages. They can't last too long. So I have to be able to build the tension, have sort of the thing happen. I do like the idea of him, like, I do like the idea of him seeing himself in a way. I'm trying to figure out how I would do that though. Because the idea of you being reflected back at yourself is a core thematic idea that I'm doing with AI, that you are kind of like, of the idea of AI or algorithmic sort of programming and bots and stuff like that, is it's just a reflection of yourself back at you that's sort of like inherently hypnotizing you in a way. So that's kind of what but yeah, it's not a bad idea, Ghostly. It's not a bad idea. Ghostly thinks horror is most horror, it's poetic, for better or worse. I don't want it to be gothic. That's the one thing, this is not a gothic horror story, so it's not, there's poetry there. There needs to be, like, rhythm and rhyme, but I don't want it to be, like, picture a Dorian Gray, where, like, the true reflection of the monster kind of thing. I do think it needs to be poetic. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it poetic and resonate thematically and broadly. How does he die now again? He gets locked in his room, and the only escape is jumping through the window. That's how he dies originally. And then he breaks his neck, and then Madison holds him up, and then he gets evaporated by the moon. That's kind of actually why I was like, well, he could wither, kind of like a la, Last Crusade, as he's being like teleported. Because I've changed that a little bit now. At least made it more like ritualistic and processual. So there's a possibility I could do that. I initially, because he's a product of like desire. His whole thing is really about control and desire in a lot of ways. I was going to say this. Oh no, kids are asleep. I'm sorry, it's kicking your ass. I see. Wait, hold on. Which part? Maybe we can help. Ghostly, I see. I meant the grand gesture at the end. Explaining the rest would take too long, but the grand gesture at the end. Um, I don't know. I mean, you're not wrong that he's sort of, there's a vanity about him. I mean, he's kind of my take on a basic incel character in a way. Is this person who's ruled completely, which does involve a lot of like self, um I guess self image problems, like, and there is that, there's a like self-esteem and self-image problems, but there's also a lot to do, like, really his thing is about control, because he tries to subtly through the dialogue, he tries to control what other people do and how they engage. That's kind of like the weird thing he does with Dalton later, is he's kind of functionally trying to justify the fact that he's going to go try to think he's sleeping with Iggy, even though Dalton likes them. So how can you take away his agency in his death? I mean, that is kind of what's happening. We're attacking his desire first, because that's kind of the initial thing. So we're attacking what he thinks he's desiring, and we're taking the control away from him in that sense. And so initially what I was thinking would have happened was that the agency, like, if he throws himself from the window, then he's the agent of his own death, because he's unless he thinks he's going to somehow survive. But locking, essentially he gets locked. I mean, to me, the poeticness was that he gets essentially locked in his room with no escape, because that's kind of that's kind of the incel thing, right? Is that you create a prison for yourself, this like online prison where you can't even escape, and the only escape is that he finds is to throw himself out the window. And it helps to make it look like it was a suicide later on, just for the police investigation part of it. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, how can I go hard? How can we have Clint? How can we have Clint sort of, I guess, suffer his? I mean, because the whole point is that he thinks he's in control, and he thinks he's got this thing, but he's obviously deeply insecure about it. But at the same time, I mean, kind of the functional theme of the whole story is no one has any control. There is no control. There is no autonomy. I mean, it's kind of what's happening to him. Yeah, that's kind of, that's where suffocation's part of it. Yeah, that's essentially a form of suffocation. Yeah, that would work. But yeah, that's kind of I'm trying to think how to handle the room. And I do kind of need it to be kind of close to Mason. And Mason does kill himself in the story, like with the whole thing with Mason. I do need it to some degree to tie to Mason. Although Jeff's yeah, Jeff's opening. Yeah, I need to think. It's going to be difficult, because Clint's death is the one that sets the tone for the rest of everything. So I need it, and I need it to be shorter. I need it. I mean, right now it's 28. Yeah, it literally needs to end on page 30. It needs to be under 3 pages for the kill. So that's a trick. So yeah, suffocation. I mean, suffocation's good. I'm trying to think of a good way to do that from his room, because I do want to keep him trapped in his room. It is tricky. Quick, to the kettle. Yes, go to the kettle. I have in fact finished a cup of tea. I'm gonna have to go check on my beans, actually. Charger cord. Oh yeah, choking him. Yeah, charger cord is, like a cord or a cable. I don't know if I want the monster using, because the monster doesn't use items to kill them really ever. Like the woman in the gray hoodie or Madison doesn't really ever use objects. That's one of the weird limitations. So I can't have her choke him with a cable. You made things hard for yourself, since I have made things hard for myself. But that's actually that is a thematic point that I am trying to stick to. Is that it doesn't use, it's not like it is a slasher but not a slasher. It's not like using knives and all that kind of stuff. It's also one of the main reasons why you never see Madison kill anyone at the very end. It's actually Dalton and everybody else who does it, because that's the moment that's the whole point. The whole point is that she doesn't need to. Was that the ding of you need to go? Oh no, that's the ding for the next sprint. That is the break ding. The break ding. Ghostly, I see what you're getting at. Yes, that is, yeah. See the thing that is not a real thing that everybody is defending like it's a real thing, and will die for it being a real thing. That's kind of the vibe. That's the thematic. That's kind of the thematic core of what I'm leaning into. So that's kind of why I need them to be mechanism. Actually, this is poetic in a lot of ways. It's very Greek in a way. They kind of need to be they kind of need to devise their own ends as they're being trapped. Essentially, they're psychologically cutting themselves off from the world and giving themselves over to this thing that is kind of, in a way, mirroring their desires back at them. And then as they become sort of possessed by their own desires reflected back at them, that's what ultimately it uses that to essentially, kill them. Or, well, in this case it's like a cosmic horror organism that's what it does. It just duplicates, it literally fills in the cracks between your own desire and uses that to essentially consume you. He could have a rack of... Yeah, he could have weights. That's true. Yeah. I actually changed it to where he's doing push-ups instead of working out with weights. In the original script, he has weights. He's working out with weights. He's doing the thing that always cracks me up when I hear guys talk about it before they go on a date, where they go, quote-unquote, get their pump on. Makes me laugh every time I hear about it, which is why I included it. It's like one of my favorite little absurd male behaviors that I have heard many a men talk about. Hey, Nell, welcome in. Extend break. Okay, all right, we'll extend the break. We'll extend the break by 5 minutes. I do have to go check the beans before we dive on into our next sprint, though. One sec. I gotta put a separate timer here. How you doing? How you doing, Nell? I almost called you Wiley. Ghostly, they do that. Ew. I'm not saying all men do that, but I've heard guys like I've heard of guys do that. I don't know if they think it makes them look. This is where I'm convinced men work out for other men. They don't even work out for women. It's very weird. It's a weird behavior, but I have heard of men who do this. And the funny thing is not even like gym bros. Or at least I don't think they're gym bros, but like some of the guys I work with, when I'm traveling, like some of the riggers and like some of those guys, which to be fair, they are kind of the boys in a way. They are kind of they're just not like gym boys, but they do sometimes talk about it, and I'm like, you do that? Like, it's very odd, but that's something I've heard they do. Been writing fanfic and struggles with the heat. Yeah, the heat is bad everywhere now. The heat is bad. I found out about this in college writing class. I've never been icked out. So wait, really, Cryptid? You found out about that in writing class? That's crazy. I at least am working with like perpetually single men who travel a lot. Who, like, I don't know, man. That's who they are. They're kind of like hookup guys who travel the world constantly, and that's what they do. And so, like, I can kind of laugh it off, but I didn't realize there were people in writing class who were just like, every time before a date, I gotta go do like 20 push-ups. It's It's so funny. It's really funny. It's so silly. Uh You've heard of women dressing for the female gaze. Men say, no, they 100% do, Ghostly. That is, I'm 100% convinced that most men, that a lot of, like, outside of just, like, general fitness and, like, being healthy and stuff, obviously, I'm not talking about that. But I think people that, like, do work out for aesthetics, there is a point where they are just doing it for men. For the male gaze. They're doing it based on some weird, I'm sure there's, everybody's attracted to what they're attracted to, but man, there's a point of it where I'm just like, what are you doing? I don't even think this is attractive to people. I mean, maybe it is in the abstract. I don't think, it's a very different, it's a different thing, man. It's weird. It's weird. Men are weird. But that is kind of what I never thought of Clint as being like one of those people who's kind of like a guy who would work out so much to look good, because he's also kind of an antisocial incel. He doesn't have like other guy friends. He hangs out with these other anime nerds essentially. But it's definitely not it's not a bad take, Ghostly, to think that he's a person who would be vain that way. I wasn't approaching it that way, but I think there might be something there that I can tap into it, because I just wasn't thinking about him like that, and it totally makes sense. And that is kind of the thing, is like guys who, get into that like looks, whatever they call it, the looks maxing shit, where it's like, they become so preoccupied with, and it is kind of a nerdy thing almost. They just become so preoccupied by just the, I guess, aesthetic of being masculine that they go insane. Yes, because it was a writing class for modern culture, and so it came up. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I've been writing some fanfic too. Got the first 3 chapters up. Hey! Gotta love fanfic, man. It's been a while since I've done fanfic, but I did used to write it from time to time. But I hope the fanfic's going well now, and I hope yours is too, Moon. Do you find fanfic as being like a refreshing, that's something that you can kind of like, it helps you reset your brain when you're working on other stuff? Because that's sometimes I'll kind of dabble in that a little bit. I'll write a fanfic or like an adaptation thing, and that kind of helps me reset my brain. They do, because men mostly perform for the male gaze. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I do think that is 100% true. And they wonder why they're single. Stares at the camera like The Office. Congrats. Yes. Yeah, congrats on getting more writing done. Yeah, I was like, Moon Runes was on, like, I've been gone for a few weeks, but Moon Runes was like on fire. So Moon Runes, if you're taking a break, you've definitely earned a break, because you were going crazy. It may not have been on my work in progress, but I wrote 1,800 words the other day. That Moon Runes, that shit counts. It doesn't matter. That shit still counts. It's still, even if it's not directly on the work that you're writing something else sometimes unlocks or gets ideas flowing for the thing that you were working on anyway. It still is a part of the process. It still counts. It still counts, goddammit. I demand that still counts. All right, Sensei, my last idea. I don't know how, but if you could make it so that Clint unalives himself on accident while trying to fight back Madison, as he's so aggressive. That's good. I mean, that's a good, like, comic. Like, you can definitely put in a funny moment there. It's unalives himself by accident. Okay. I like that, because he is aggressive. He's aggressive, and he can't communicate. That's the big thing. He literally is incapable of communicating emotions and feelings, because that is if there's, of the many problem with young men today, that is the fucking big one. And that's not even just young men. It's a bit of a historical problem, thanks to, patriarchy, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. But it's like the inability to be able to actually like comprehend and express your own emotions and communicate them. Because that's kind of how I've tried to establish his relationship with Dalton, is that he literally does not know how to communicate it. And you see it with his father. His father's always yelling at him. This is like the only way that he knows that he can even communicate. That's kind of what I'm trying to set up. And Dalton, even though Dalton's got his own issues, he kind of like mirrors and mimics things, because he has kind of a malleable sense of identity. But he's a lot more in tune with like how he feels generally, and that's kind of where Clint ends up being this domineering force in their quote unquote friend group, even though you only really see that dynamic very briefly. That's kind of the subtext behind it that I'm trying to seep in there. Um, Let me see. Yes, let's see. Here, hold on. I thought about Schism when you learned about that while you were away. Wait, oh, really? Looks Max Ingalls hitting your face with hammers. Please, please don't. Yeah, that was like, Jesus. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just smack yourself with a hammer. Less pleasure. Yes, that's the idea. And it's freeing. That's why fan fiction is so freeing. Same, it's nice to just create and be. Exactly. For me, fanfiction is still valid. I agree. I will always say that fanfiction is absolutely valid and absolutely should be utilized by people who find it helpful. I wish I could. My brain is a disgusting purist that refuses to make things that aren't mine. How it gets around this is that it takes heavy inspiration and makes knockoff versions of her favorite things. That I started doing that really early, Ghostly. That's a similar thing. I wrote fan fiction, Star Wars fan fiction, and some other fan fictions when I was younger, and very quickly just moved into just ripping it off. just doing changing literally lore terms, but I'm just ripping the story off. But it's fine. It's kind of the same thing. Very true, very true. It's also my exercise in writing tragedies. Nice. All writing counts because it all practice. Exactly. I think you could make it genuinely upsetting and not necessarily comical. I have faith in you. That's tricky. It's tricky, and it's a thing I have to set up and pull off in less than 3 pages, which is tight. And I'm actually now realizing how much heavy lifting I'm actually doing with Clint's death, which I didn't realize initially I was doing that much heavy lifting with it. So we will see. That's fine. Remember, we basically decided Akotar is basically Labyrinth. Oh. Ignore my I gotcha. Oh, my lord. Exactly, theft. It's the future. All art is theft. All right. Okay. I've dabbled too long. Time to start up. Time to start up our next sprint. Happy writing. I gotta go check on my beans, but I'll be back and we will continue the words. Happy writing, everybody. We'll see you on the other side. And away we go. All right. I keep forgetting that we're on 30. So short. We'll update to 40 minutes on Thursday. The Thursday stream, because I'm like, oh my god, it's way too short. Anyway, pencils down, everybody. Hopefully the sprint treated you well. Anyway, take care. Hopefully, I know it's really fast. 30 minutes is not enough. I don't know how people do it. E to the Liz, if you're still there, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm so glad to hear from you again. I'll have to drop in on your stream now that I have some downtime. Finally, very excited about the script you are writing. Finally got 2 sentences in, and then it went off. Yep, that's how it is. I think we'll see. I'm gonna finish this sequence, but I think I figured it out. I think I have it. I think I have a way to make this work. And I think some of Ghostly's sleep deprived input is actually going to make it better. Interestingly enough, it reminded me of a thing I wanted to do in the short film version of what I'm going to try to do for Schism. So like, because I'm writing a whole new like independent short film that's based in this world with this whole thing that's very separate from the movie. And there's some scenes I have written down for that, and one of the things that Ghostly had mentioned made me think of an idea I had written down for a scene, and I was like, that's a pretty solid scene. I don't know why I didn't have it in the actual feature film version of it. So anyway, I think I might. We'll see if it works. But it's definitely less like, I guess, obvious horror type thing, but it's pretty fucked up. so it might work. Hopefully it works. We'll see how it goes. Oh shit, love that Community gets it done. Yeah. It is. I was struggling with this scene, and I think Ghostly was able to kind of needle it into at least helping me think about it in a different way that kind of broke it into okay, I think I can make this work. And it's a little less over the top, which is interesting. Although I might have to go change parts of an earlier psychedelic horror sequence, though, because I might not have to change too much, actually, now that I think about it, because I guess it probably still works. I was trying to mirror the two, but now that I think about it, I'm like, no, thematically it still works. I think it works. We'll see. Since I have established a freaky little gremlin now. Anyway, how's it? Yay for downtime. Yes, hopefully everybody is enjoying your break. What time is it? Where are we at? Okay, it's almost 6. Okay. Well, we definitely obviously have time for another sprint. Don't think we're gonna have time for 2. We'll see. You know what I'll do? No, you know what I'll do? I'll just change the last sprint to a 40-minute sprint. How does that sound for everybody? We'll do a 40-minute sprint on the back end, and then on the tail end of it. And that'll give us a good little amount of writing time, and I won't feel bad about not doing it. Go big or go home. Exactly, Liz. Yep. Heck yeah, sounds good. Established freaky little gremlin noted. Yeah. There's some, because a lot of like when you're kind of doing a second draft, because there's a lot of ideas that are being thrown around. It's really about like trying to clarify, quote unquote, the lore, or it's like it's just rules essentially. And because I tend to make things more convoluted than they need to be, it's really trying, and because I'm doing the cosmic horror side of things, because I want to make my life hard. I can't just have it be a dude in a mask with a knife. as the ghost was calling me out for earlier. You're not wrong. It would be a lot easier, but for whatever reason I have to make it like, doing a cosmic horror or existential horror always involves, you can't over explain, but you need it to make sense. You need the lore to kind of work. Like, you don't need to explain the lore, but it needs to make sense, if that makes sense. And so that's the tricky part. So it's mostly about me like consolidating, and it's how now the pale man in the script is now essentially Mason. since in the original draft though they weren't the same person. It just made more sense to do it that way. So it consolidates and clarifies things a little bit, and it kind of there's less like disparate elements just being thrown around, particularly in a movie where you're trying to do it in like 100 minutes. Maybe I'll get some of the spy book done. Hell yeah, Cryptid, get it done. Yeah. But I do need to lay the groundwork for some broader ideas in Schism as well. So that's the other part of doing this other draft, is kind of like laying the groundwork for some, I guess, some bigger moments that I'm trying to pull off. So we shall see. We shall see. I do think I've managed to shorten and make some of the tension building kill stuff more punchy. I'm trying, but I've got too many cute distractions. Tuscany is right next. Aww, adorable. Go Tuscany. Good job. Good job at being adorable. I'm glad Tuscany's there keeping you company, though. Bum, bum, bum. What do we got here? I know we've only got 3 minutes left, but I watched The Odyssey. I did catch The Odyssey once I was no longer, like, dying and nauseous. So, just to start a short subject of conversation, The Odyssey. I mean, I'm pretty lukewarm to Nolan, so I have a lot of baggage going into it, which is very funny because I've actually met him, and he's, like, a very delightful person. He's very sweet. But I was pretty lukewarm on it. It's just not. I just don't think it's my jam. I just don't think Nolan's my jam. It's visually gorgeous. I mean, watch it for the visuals alone. And it's like it's pretty. They're he is using, obviously, like we always do in mythology. We're using a story to tell a very specific type of story, and so he's doing like a. He's doing a very particular type of story. It's like a war horse story. It's about the fear of immigrants. It's about, the idea of, like, are we actually... It's essentially the movie's whole thing is, are we the baddies? And the answer is yes. and the movie's very clear about that's what it's trying to do. But there are elements in the plot of the Odyssey which work in direct contradiction to that theme, which I find very interesting. And so I can critique... I don't think it's as cohesive as he wants it to be, utilizing but I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. Like, visually, the Cyclops is cool. The way they did the Cyclops is pretty neat. But I also just wish it didn't look like the Saxons. Like, Nolan has a relatively drab color palette and style that I don't mind that, I obviously am not coming to the Odyssey for historical accuracy, since the Odyssey itself is not historically accurate. But like the actual story Homer wrote is not historically accurate. But the funny thing is that, like, all of his movies look the same. I'm just like, this just looks like it was shot in England. It just looks like it was shot in Britain with, like, cloudy skies and everything. It's just the vibe. Anyway, I saw it in IMAX. I saw it on 70 I know where he sits. See, I like how you're all... Yes, to be fair, it is just me casually dropping that I've met Nolan. But if you want the real crazy thing, is I know where he sits when he's checking prints. Because remember, I was running the IMAX projector at Universal City for Interstellar. So I know where he sits when he's checking prints and where the sound is. So, like, I usually wait until I can see it in that seat. So I'll go see all of his movies it's J16 in the IMAX theater. You just go sit. J16 or no, J19, sorry, J19. And it's just one of those seats you just sit in, like in that bracket. And so I saw it on 70. I mean it's gorgeous. The whole film is... There are definitely times where I'm like, he did not need to shoot everything He did not need to shoot half the scenes with the suitors in fucking 70. Like it was too much. It was too much. Like it's there's no reason for that frame there. Like everything else is fine, the scale sells, but when it's just people around dining and like you can see them just missing focus constantly because it's insanely the depth of field is very shallow. So unless you're really 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 blasting it with light to like up the f-stop, you're it's why a lot of times when you watch those movies he'll get a little soft because that poor first AC is struggling to try to keep everything in focus. Anyway, yeah, so but it's definitely I definitely think it's worth it to see the scale, the epicness. I mean, the performance. A lot of the performances are great, but like there's parts of it that were also just extremely boring to me. I like kind of Calypso, all the stuff with Calypso was kind of it's fucking you have Charlize Theron. It just yeah I don't know. The pig scene with Cersei is fantastic, and it's all practical, which is really cool. I will give him that. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in the movie. I just think holistically, I'm not as impressed as everybody else is. Not to be a bummer, but you mean because Helen comes out of the egg? It's an egg. It's not history. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Yeah, exactly. I think my favorite. Yeah, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the best adaptation of the Odyssey. Also, it's my favorite interpretation of Odysseus because Odysseus is kind of the interesting thing. The thing that makes Odysseus interesting in the Homeric epics is that he's not a hero. He's kind of like a shisty liar, schemer, weirdo. So like even in the context of like the Homeric epics, he's kind of not a hero. At least certainly not in the way that, you know, it's why the Iliad is a song, the Song of Achilles, the idea of the generic like the ideal Greek hero and their flaws. But like Odysseus is kind of like not a good guy. He's kind of like an egotistical weirdo that like gets around. Yeah. So like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the best adaptation of the Odyssey in terms of that interpretation of Odysseus. So anyway, so that's why I agree that Oh Brother's it's the best version of the Odyssey for me. Um, but you can be a critic without being a bummer. Well, you're good. It's fascinating to hear your take on have the camera issues. Oh yeah. That's yeah. If you want to listen to any people talk about camera, my buddy Sean that I do the podcast with, if you want to listen to him, he'll go into it because he's had to pull focus for stuff like that before. It's a nightmare. Your depth of field is so shallow if you're shooting on anything below like probably a 5.6 on the f-stop. I don't even know on those how big because the frame is so big. I know when you're shooting 70 millimeter photography that it's tough. It's tough unless you're shooting outdoor. It's why you would shoot it for landscapes because you can always up your f-stop really high. You get that really really deep depth of field, so you can do this really like panoramic thing. But if you're trying to shoot people in dark situations, like I cannot even imagine. Full frame cameras, pulling focus full frame cameras at a low f-stop is difficult as it is on just a full frame digital camera, let alone 70 millimeter. All right, sorry, I went on a tirade there. All right, let me change this to 40, and we will rock and roll and get started. I got to duck out and check on my beans, but I will be back. All right. Oh, all right. Happy writing, everybody. We will see you. Had to be the coolest job for people watching. It's true. You're not wrong, Liz. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I did luck out and see some pretty cool. Briefly meet some pretty cool people. Back in the day, got paid literally minimum wage to do it, but it was worth it. Whether this film tires or what the stream is about. Thank you. All right, happy writing, everybody. We'll see you all on the other side, and away we go. There we go. Oh, snap. And that is the end of that sprint. All right, everybody. We're going to have to call it. I have to run. But it looks like a successful stream. We made it. I survived. We all survived. We all got words, hopefully. Words were had. And hopefully they will continue to happen. So yeah, plan on Thursday. Thursday we'll do a full stream on Thursday. I made words. They happened. Woo! We did it. Yeah, sort of a little bit of an icebreaker coming back in after such a long hiatus, but hopefully things continue. And anyway, I mean, my goal is literally to have Schism, the updated draft of Schism done by the end of the week. So lots of work to be done. Thanks, Ghostly. Love you too, kid. Love you all. I hope all of you are doing well. I know life is crazy, but hang in there. You all are the best. And we'll see you all on Thursday. So yeah, hang in there. Keep the dream alive. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others.